Here's what we're pulling off today. You chain a zombie by your door, and its smell marks this place as taken. Other zombies smell it and go around, which means you have to keep this thing alive as long as you can. And the first truth flips everything you'd guess. Other zombies don't stay away because they see your zombie and get scared. A zombie's eyes are basically dead. It finds its way, its own kind, its food, all by smell. So your border was never a line you can see. It's a wall you can smell. You're not raising a scarier guard dog. You're keeping a smell alive. So what does the wall smell like? You're thinking, zombies reek of rot, right? The stench should scare them off. Wrong. The rot smell is the wrong signal. That rotting stench mostly comes from stuff called cadaverine and putrescine. And in this world, that smell means one thing. Something here is fully dead, which reads as, this spot's a graveyard. It's empty. And to a hungry zombie, it reads as, fresh meat over here. You want to say the opposite. There's a living, kicking, tough resident here. It's turf. Get lost. So rule 1 flips. You can't let it rot harder. You have to hold the stench down and push its living smell up. A zombie you've embalmed and scrubbed clean smells like a museum piece. It reads as a dead thing, not a resident. That wall won't stand. Here's the problem. Where does that living smell come from? It's not one scent. It's hundreds of tiny molecules mixed just right, and nearly all of them come from the zombie burning itself. So it gets tricky. Want the signal strong? You need it burning hard, giving off more smell. But burn hard, and it dies fast. That's the trap you can't shake. The harder you push it to broadcast, the faster it dies. The longer you keep it alive, the thinner your wall gets. The wall and the zombie run on the same tank of gas. How far can the wall reach? A smell fades with distance. Faint enough, and another zombie's nose won't pick it up. Your border is that ring where it can still be smelled. Past that, no wall. Making it strong at 30 feet versus 5 feet means wildly different effort from the zombie. So don't crank its output to cover a huge area. That's suicide. Make your turf small and shaped to trap the smell. Walls, alleys, a courtyard. Pen the scent into a basin it can fill, instead of leaking it into open ground. You're designing the floor plan for a zombie's smell. Floor plan set, then the wind kicks up and wrecks it. Wind doesn't spread smell in an even ball. It blows it into a long streak, dragging downwind. 2 ways that kills you. Downwind, you trail a long tail of signal, overprotected, and broadcasting to everything far off. Live zombie over here, come look. Upwind, almost no signal. Doors wide open. They stroll right in from upwind, and you can't do a thing. So work with the wind. Put the zombie upwind, a little higher, let the wind spread the smell across the whole patch, and watch the clock. Night and early morning, ground's cool, air's still, the smell hugs the ground. That's your thickest wall. Noon, sun's out, heat rises, the smell gets stirred into the sky, and the wall's at its thinnest, which is exactly when they find it easiest to break in. You're reading the weather for a zombie, and putting it on a schedule. Wind scatters the smell, and those molecules don't last long in the air anyway. They fade, so the wall has a shelf life, and you top it up. Here's the trick. Light, sharp molecules travel far but vanish fast. Good for a distant alarm. Heavy, oily ones don't travel far but cling to surfaces for a long time. Good for leaving an I was here mark on the wall, on the doorframe. The light stuff comes off the zombie on its own when it's active. Can't store that. The heavy stuff, you help along. Rag, wipe the greasy spots, its neck, its armpits, then smear that oily coat around your border. The wall base, the doorposts, every path in. And it fades a little each day. So you walk the border, you take your zombie out on a leash, walk it around the edge, let it lay the marks down fresh. Yeah, you walk your zombie. But notice, walking it, moving it, sweating scent out of it, that's burning its fuel, cutting its life. Every time you fix the wall, you take days off its life. Now deeper. Why do the others read this as somebody's strong turf and back off, instead of, oh, one of my kind, let me go say hi? Because the signal smuggles in 2 more things. 1, this is one specific resident, not just any zombie passing by. 2, this one's tough, don't mess with it. And in smell, how loud the signal is says how strong the resident is. A faint smell broadcasts, I'm about done, come take my land, which slams into keeping it alive. To read is strong, you keep it pumping scent at full blast, throttle to the floor. But if you dial it down to a low burn to make it last, its signal goes faint. To the other zombies, your mighty gatekeeper drops overnight into a dying weakling, and your wall turns into an invitation. You want it to live long, so it has to play weak. But play weak, and the wall falls. Which brings a question you maybe never asked. This thing's basically a dead, shut-down body. How's it still cranking out this whole complicated smell? Because the smell isn't made by it at all. Most of a body's smell doesn't come from the body. It comes from bacteria living on the skin, breaking down sweat and oil into stuff that stinks. Armpit smell works exactly like this. It's the bacteria's work. So your zombie's territory signal, The real factory is that layer of living bacteria on its skin. The body's just a farm feeding those bacteria. Once that lands, the whole thing changes. You're not raising a zombie. You're raising that one colony of bacteria that makes the right smell. And that colony has a mortal enemy, the rot bacteria. The second the rot bacteria, the ones making the stench, win the turf war against your good bacteria, your signal flips over, from living resident to rotting corpse. The wrong signal. Your mighty gatekeeper turns overnight into a sign that says, "Dead here, come on in." So what you're really doing is gardening. You feed up the good bacteria and beat the rot bacteria down by tuning moisture, salt, acidity, and the right food. You're doing bacterial gardening on a corpse. But feeding the good bacteria needs moisture, warmth, food. And those three are exactly what rot loves, and what burns through its life fastest. Right here, signal, keeping it from rotting and keeping it alive. All three go to war over the same warm, damp patch of skin. 3 sides, 1 patch, and you can't please all 3 on one body. So you zone it. Split the zombie in 2. A few transmitter zones, the neck, the armpits, the damp, greasy spots. Feed the good bacteria up there. Keep them warm and wet. Put out scent at full power like a broadcast tower. The rest of the body, the big surface, goes the other way. Salt it, dry it, seal it, half mummify it into a shell that doesn't broadcast, just tries not to rot. A battery bay. So you've split a zombie into a transmitter, plus a battery bay trying not to rot. But then a new problem jumps out. Those transmitter zones you kept warm and wet and active, those rot the fastest on the whole body. And they're the parts you can least afford to lose. Your most expensive antenna sits on the spot that burns through first. So what do? 2 roads. Easy one, rotation. Use the neck for a while, and when it starts rotting, switch to a fresh spot. Retire the rotted one. The nastier one, go external. Since the smell is made by bacteria, you move that colony and its food off the zombie onto something you can replace. Rags, sponges, old clothes, soaked in its fluids and seeded with its bacteria. Hang them along your border as transmitters, and keep just a small piece of the zombie as the seed source, as living proof this resident's still alive. Everything else goes on deep power saving. By now, you're not keeping a gatekeeper. You're using the zombie as a jar of sourdough starter that keeps pumping out the territory smell, reseeding a ring of transmitters. And the moment you go that external, one question pulls the rug out. Everything you fought to keep, start to finish, was never this zombie, this hunk of meat. It was that one smell on it. Active, strong, one of a kind, the smell of a living resident. But that smell has one deadly requirement. It has to be alive, to keep making fresh scent, to prove the resident's still here. And it has to be active, so the signal stays strong. And alive plus active is exactly what burns it dead fastest. Every single thing you do to make it live longer, cool it, dry it, keep it still, power it down, every one of those dials the signal down and drops your wall lower. Signal and lifespan, on the same zombie, run opposite ways. You can't max out both. So keeping a territory zombie, in the end, isn't about health. It's a math problem. Signal power against how long it lasts. The best answer isn't strong and long-lived. Can't be done. The answer is tuning it into a system. Body on deep power, saving to survive. Signal held up by external transmitters. The body stays cool, still, barely burning, a seed battery. The wall stays thick off a ring of transmitters, plus you're reseeding them off the body. You could even draw up a table. At your wall's current thickness, how many months the body's got left. And every time you push the signal up a notch, say a zombie's testing your border, and you need the wall thicker for a bit, you subtract the matching days off its life. You're not raising a gatekeeper. You're running a walking pheromone tower slowly burning itself down. One last thing. That ring of transmitters you hung, all soaked in the same zombie's fluids, seeded with the same bacteria, so the smell across your whole turf is one consistent signature. Normally that's good, reads as one stable, strong resident. But it also means this. One smart enough zombie figures out your recipe, fakes a batch, hangs it at your door, and passes itself off as you. Territory can be forged. As for how to build an anti-forgery mark for your gatekeeper, and how to flip it around, using one nearly rotted zombie to fake up a bigger, meaner resident that doesn't even exist and scare off whatever comes at you. That war, fought purely with smell, we'll cover next time.